Coming up on Theater Talk.
As artists, we have to go a long way to say, why should I come to the theater?
Yeah, yes.
Why should I leave my dormitory and go out and come to this versus I can go to a basketball game? Why should I go to this play this night instead of doing anything else?
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation. From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post. Now, Susan, one of our favorite musicals of all time is Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is, I think, going into its second year on Broadway. John Cameron Mitchell and Stephen Trask, great show about a kind of beaten down transvestite, sort of on his last legs, trying still to reach for fame and the spotlight. It has a brand new cast, and we are delighted to be joined by Taye, who is stepping into the not really high heels. Would you say it's not kinky boots? What are the shoes?
Those heels are high.
They're not unhigh.
High and platformed.
That's right.
Are you in training for those now?
I will be. I will be very soon.
Stepping into those high heels with
yes,
with her boyfriend. Girlfriend from Berlin, being played by Rebecca Naomi Jones, who's actually been in the show for a little bit. So you're
I've been in it for 2 months now.
What's the character again you play? I forget.
Yitzhak.
Yitzhak, right. Welcome both to Theater Talk.
I have it in my notes that Yitzhak is to be referred to as he.
Yes, Yitzhak is Hedwig's husband.
Yes. And Hedwig is she. So there we have it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, well, yes.
Excuse me for not being up on my transgenderism, Susan.
That's all right.
Hey, it's the time to get with it.
Bruce, I'm behind.
We'll be patient with you.
All right, so, Taye, you're jumping on the high heels. Does drag come naturally to you?
Drag, I don't know. I don't know so much about drag. I never, made a habit of trying on my mom's clothes. No, I mean, because, some people have.
Also kids who want to be actors when they're growing up.
Sure,
play dress up all the time.
Never did that. But I do have a flaming homosexual somewhere inside of me because, you play the right song, and it can be the right time of night.
Hello, darling.
Right amount of alcohol. And
yes, I said the alcohol.
It can be fun.
I would think
you could hit Maurice Crisis at 4 in the morning.
You know what I mean? I like to turn it up a little bit. So I'll be using some of those moves, hopefully, in a couple of weeks.
And now, Naomi, you dress up as a little boy when you were a cute little girl?
Oh, no, I did not. I loved dresses.
No.
Yeah.
You were Little Mermaid, Little Princess?
Oh, sure. I mean, all the little princessy things you could possibly find. And, any, Halloween or, I was the kid who, wanted to go to tennis lessons so that I could wear the tennis skirt,
sure.
Or wanted to, at one year it was like, Mom, I want to be in figure skating. I just wanted to wear the outfit,
So what did they do to audition you for Yitzhak?
You have to lower your voice.
Yeah, you definitely have to lower your voice. Mm-hmm. When I was called in, I had done American Idiot with Michael Riedel,
I remember.
the director.
Yeah.
And I wasn't originally called in for the auditions because I'm black. And Yitzhak is from Croatia. And I think they were trying to go more traditional for the original cast for Broadway because it's already a sort of wild and wacky show.
Well, and they had Neil Patrick Harris, and they wanted
and they wanted to make sure it was something
Middle
that
European
was
reality
work.
a lot. Yeah,
exactly. So, but Michael called me just right a couple of days before the final callbacks, and was just like, we weren't going to see you, but I just keep feeling curious about what you would bring. To this role. So would you mind coming in? And I was like, of course I wouldn't mind. I loved this musical so much. So I was like, great, I already know the material. And he was like, you have to come in as a man. So I
cut your hair off and put on a pair of pants.
I actually used the bobby pin like a freaking pro. And I did this sort of mushroom top situation. And I bobby pinned the hell out of my hair. So it just looked like sort of a 90s curly, short, Seattle dude, like an alternative rock dude, and just borrowed the guy I was dating. I borrowed some big old jeans from him and a big old T-shirt and a big old flannel, and just, you know.
Lowered
Oh, and
your
I've got some facial hair from a Halloween store.
Lowered your voice.
And they
my
said now you have
voice.
cornrows for the production.
Yes. So what I love is that now that I've replaced Lena Hall, who had a really cool sort of greaser look,
James Dean kind
James
of thing,
Dean
yeah.
type wig for her look. I love that when I walked into the theater, nobody was under the assumption that I should just do like a plug and play situation and just be Lena's replacement. You know, they were like, let's work with this actor. And so our amazing hair designer, Mike Potter, was like, I think we should give you cornrows, and sort of modeled me after that character Leroy from Fame.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a great idea? And so I've got this great.
Now that you are the first African American coupling in Hedwig
Team.
and John Cameron
Brown.
Mitchell.
All right.
Yes. John Cameron Mitchell is
Watermelon
Mitchell's writing you new
cornbread.
material. I'm cutting you off, and you're the star.
I'm cutting you off. Excuse me.
Yeah,
No,
stop
but you're the
talking.
star.
Susan. No one wants
But-
to look at you. They want to look at them.
And may I go on
can all
to
look at
say,
each other.
yes, and may I go on to say, now I'm going to
may.
put you on the spot, Taye. As you plumb the soul of this character, what is Hedwig's problem? Why is Hedwig such an unhappy soul?
There's something to do with identity, self-love. I think the core is right there, you know. And once, you know, if that area, you know, of your development is stunted, it can affect a whole bunch of other areas, which I think is what you see.
Well, you know what Harvey Fierstein says? If you found the shoes, you found the character. So once you get those
I mean, yeah, that's I can be pretty external. Yeah, those once I literally once I walk in those heels.
Here's a tip: stretch out your calves.
Yeah. Here, I gotta ice my knees, and because I like to move, so
You're on stage, I think, almost
the entire
almost the entire time.
entire show.
And I know John Cameron Mitchell, when he stepped into it,
yes.
I saw him the other night at the Tony Awards, and he's been doing nothing since he left the show.
Yeah.
Except sleeping.
Yeah,
and
he
resting.
said that show when he originally did it caused him. I hope I'm saying this correctly. To not, he stopped acting for a while after
Yeah.
the show. He said it was so draining.
When did you guys see the original production, and were you fans of the show from the beginning
I
when it was down
did.
in the 90s?
And
You
I
probably
didn't.
weren't born yet.
Oh, yeah, right.
I was born.
She was
born.
7.
Yeah,
7,
yeah.
yes.
No.
Your parents would not have let you anywhere near that show when you were 7.
Oh no,
darling.
no, please. My parents were artists. They were cool.
Right.
I think I just was like,
The Jungle Gym.
Hanging
no. It was like I think I was a senior in high school.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
Oh, that's legit.
Yeah. And
legit.
I think I was totally aware of it. I remember like seeing the poster, seeing the program from it,
Yeah.
and being like, this looks like something I would love so much. But
So-
somehow I missed it. You know, I was like hanging out with
I
my
saw
friends.
Tony winner Michael Cerveris in
That's
that part.
awesome.
Did you
He
see
was
it when it
awesome.
was down at the original production?
Yes.
I mean, that was the best. I always thought that was a great theater for it, because you really felt this broken down performer is
It's a broken down theater.
in a broken down theater.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah, when you
I
saw
was-
it then, did you
I
think?
was freaked out.
But did you
was
ever
freaked
think
out.
you could do that? But did you think this apart?
I mean, I didn't even consider it.
So when did you consider it?
When I saw Neil Patrick Harris, that was when I thought, this could be something that I could, you know, sink my teeth in. But I never once thought that they would, you know, have that foresight or be that liberal in their casting.
They're rewriting it for you, reconceiving it for you.
I don't know. We'll see. I
is-
don't.
Well, John
I
Cameron
mean,
was always
they're up
adding
for-
topical
yes.
jokes and references
Yeah,
and all that
I
kind
know
of
that
stuff.
they're, you know, they're very open to, you know, each Hedwig adding, you know, her own kind of stank on it. So
Yeah.
Are the tattoos yours, or are they for Hedwig?
these are, I mean, these aren't real. I just did this for Penn.
Oh.
Penn just, no, these are real. These are Taye Diggs. These are Taye Diggs tattoos.
So they'll be Hedwigs, right, in the show. You'll be.
I don't know, man. You keep on asking me. I don't know. I got like a month and like.
Exactly.
Cool. Let me just feel it out.
Yeah, Susan.
Haven't
Stop
even put on the
pressuring the
high
poor
heel,
guy.
you know what I'm saying?
He hasn't even gotten in the heels of the big
No.
wigs yet. Give him a break.
I'm sorry,
Susan's like,
Taye Diggs.
oh, will you
Gotta get
please
rid of this
bare
Taye
your
Diggs
soul?
style.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I would imagine that they would. I would imagine that that they would let me keep these. I think it would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I like the I Love Daddy one that I'm seeing. Your kid's a good artist.
Which,
That's
right,
going to have a nice
exactly.
different meaning in the show.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, so Hedwig begins with Taye Diggs July 22nd.
And Rebecca Naomi Jones is in it.
At the Belasco Theater. And one thing you will notice, be aware of this, the Belasco Theater is allegedly haunted.
It is.
We talk. Can I give that? Yeah.
Yeah, tell us.
Talk about
I'm fascinated by
it in the
this
show.
Yeah.
Oh, you talk about, oh, right.
Well, you know, in the version that Darren's doing, we don't talk about it, but maybe in your version you'll bring that back.
The funny thing is, in the version that Darren's doing, they don't talk about it. But
All right, Rebecca Naomi Jones, Taye Diggs, both brilliant performers, both going to be terrific in Hedwig and the Angry Inch. We'll see you in the heels.
yes.
And meanwhile,
We'll see you all butched up.
That's right.
And-
In the penis.
we want to see Taye on his big hit TV show, Murder in the Park.
Oh, right.
On TNT.
That thing, right.
I want to see that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, can you tell us, Taye, have you found your character that you're playing in the TV show?
I certainly have. That one. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay, right here.
All right, kids, it's been fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Susan, there's a fine new book out called Black Broadway, African Americans on the Great White Way. It's an illustrated history of African American struggles and triumphs on the theatrical stage, written by an old friend of mine. I got to say, Stewart, you are an old friend. I've known you a long, long time.
Getting older by the minute, too.
My good friend Stewart Lane, who is a Broadway producer and co-owner of the Palace Theater, and a theater historian.
There you go.
Well, welcome, Stewart. And we're also delighted to be joined by two of our finest director and performer on Broadway, Melba Moore, famous, of course, for Hair, one of the early cast members of that show. Welcome to
And
Theater
Tony
Talk.
winner for Pearlie.
And Tony winner for Pearlie. And, if I'm not mistaken, Timbuktu with
Timbuktu and Fantine Les Miserables.
Yes.
That's right. Welcome to Theater Talk, Melba Moore. And a friend of ours who's been on the show a number of times, Kenny Leon, a great director of Denzel Washington in Fences, and also Denzel in that wonderful production last year of A Raisin in the Sun. Welcome to Theater Talk.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, too. So, Stewart, this is really an extensive book. I mean, you take us back to very, very early African-American theater.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that until I started getting involved with it. I thought it would be more like, I'd written a book called Jews on Broadway, which was the Jewish contribution to the American theater in the 20th century. So, yeah, it led a little bit into the 1880s and on. But I never realized that, we're talking 1823, was like the first, Shakespeare theater downtown, the African Grove Theater.
Right.
They did Richard III.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an amazing history there.
Melba, what was your early experience when you were growing up with African-American theater?
There was not an awful lot. I had no idea that I would have anything to do with theater because we didn't see any black people there. And black people didn't go to theater because there were no stories about us. But when I started to try to be an R&B singer, I wound up being a backup singer on the recording for Galt McDermott's performance of the music that he had performed for Hair. And he and Jerry Ragney and Jim Rado, a couple of hippie freaks. But we had interesting personalities with Valerie Simpson, myself, and...
Oh, yeah, I know Valerie very well. I love Valerie.
So he invited us to come down and not audition, because we had been singing this song. So they were still casting for some strong personalities and strong singers. And I said, oh, yeah, you teach me how to act while I do it on the stage.
So acting was not something that you were pursuing. You were going to be in the music business.
I was trying to be in the music business, yes.
But then you became this pioneer on Broadway in the sense that you were the first African-American, Sheila's a character, the lead character in Hair, and then you went on to be the first Fantine in Les Miserables. But so at the time, this wasn't something, I mean, the fact that this wasn't thought of before, and then suddenly they were going, now Melba Moore is breaking these barriers. Did you think of yourself as a barrier breaker at that time, stepping into those roles?
The things were so exciting and so mind-boggling. I really didn't understand what it was. It was just so exciting.
Now, Kenny, when you were growing up, because Melba said she didn't see black people in the theater because you didn't go. They didn't go to the theater.
Right, and we were interested in music, too.
Right, but you're a different generation, and when you were growing up in Florida, I think
I grew up in Florida.
You grew up in Florida,
and I grew up in Tallahassee, Florida, and storytelling was always a part of my life, but it wasn't, I hadn't even heard of Broadway. Never much just thought of it.
Than me.
But it was like growing up in the Southern Baptist Church, you know what I mean? So we always had plays, and then when I went on with my mother in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we were in a program called Upward Bound. that sort of prepared you for college. And me and Angela Bassett were in this program together. So since 9th grade, every Saturday we would like do these plays and, you know, and see the power of theater. Then I went to college in Atlanta, Georgia, and ran into people like Samuel L. Jackson and Spike Lee, and you know, it was almost like a Harlem Renaissance, you know, or post Harlem Renaissance, because, you know, they didn't know 10, 15 years from then that they would be famous and great and doing stories. And I was a political science major, so I had no idea I was going to end up, you know, doing 11 Broadway shows now. But the idea was, I love storytelling. You know, I find that there's still challenges to getting everybody's story on stage, getting everybody's story on the Great White Way. But you know, we keep doing it because you want to be in that army of soldiers, you know. It's like August Wilson used to say, August did his plays all over the country, but the fact that when he had his plays in New York on Broadway, it was like he could stand next to Arthur Miller and Eugene O'Neill and be
a great American playwright, not just an African
Williams.
Absolutely.
So that's what I love about Stewart's book. It's like people forget sometimes who's a part of that history. So when you read about the history of Broadway, you want to read about all the plays that happened, you know.
Speaking of which, can you give us a couple of the key figures very early on in this book, or the major black performers or playwrights who maybe we have forgotten about now, who helped establish the African-American presence on Broadway?
Well, I mean, before I say that, I do want to add that Kenny wrote a terrific foreword for the book. Very personal. I went back to him and said, this is a great piece you've written. Can you make it a little more personal? And boy, he came back with a terrific rewrite on that. It was just amazing.
It's called The Truth?
It's called The Truth. Well, welcome to the theater. That's what we're trying to do.
But yeah, some of the early African-American writers, directors, performers, who we may have forgotten, who are central in
Well, Gilpin, who did the Emperor Jones, was like his milk and butter. Like the Count of Monte Cristo was James Tyrone's summer thing that he would do. This was for Gilpin. It was a world... I think Paul Robeson, doing his showboat, and
who was driven out of the country and driven out of. I mean, that it was not an easy.
Josephine Baker found her audience outside New York.
Yeah, not an easy birth for a lot of these people.
It's called America.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's something that comes across in the book. It's a young country. And we're still growing, and we're still finding ourselves, and this is the trajectory. We have to make it the right one.
When did things begin, though, to get integrated? Because in the early part of the book, you're talking about the black theaters. There were specific theaters where black performers were for black audiences. When do black actors, performers begin to mix with white performers? Is it in vaudeville? Is it before then? Is it...
Well, vaudeville was certainly a spot because it goes back even to the minstrel shows. The minstrel shows were originally white men putting on blackface. And then when they all got drafted into the Civil War, black performers actually took over those roles on stage and was able to make a living at that. But I think in the 20s was the biggest transition, this kind of combination of a sleepy country backwards nation, America. Yes, exactly. Getting on the world stage in World War I. And so
that'll do it. I'm sorry.
And our stories became less provincial and more global, more universal. And then there was the whole push north from the African American community from the South. They were trying to escape the Jim Crow laws that were going on, and they settled into Harlem. And we get the golden age of Harlem. And this is an amazing period where black and whites are working together. There's Duke Ellington and Eubie. And that started the movement. And then it gets better in the late 50s and 60s when Broadway really starts to open up to interracial casting. Joe Papp.
Yeah, Joe Papp is a key figure because Joe Papp was colorblind before they were even talking about being colorblind, I think.
Well, I wouldn't call Joe Papp colorblind. I would call him a genius, a visionary, and he saw everybody and embraced and included everybody. And that's why I like what Oscar Eustis is still continuing to do that. You know what I mean? That brand that Joe put there.
Melba, when you were just beginning as an actress, were there a lot of African Americans trying to make it on Broadway, or were
there were a lot trying to make it? We didn't see them because there was nothing for them.
Right. When the League puts out its annual figures, it still seems to be, everyone always uses the phrase, the Great White Way. I mean, it is still predominantly white people.
And there's some concerted effort within the community. The Broadway League, for instance, makes an effort to get not only a more interracial audience on stage as well as backstage.
I love being in the Broadway community. I love my fellow directors. I love the producers. I love being in this community. But I don't think we should kid ourselves that we're doing that we're doing great on all levels. I think that the kind of stories we tell and the stories that we include, I think we can go further in terms of our diversity and what we do. I mean, it's, for instance, I mean, years ago, there were way more plays than there are musicals. Now there are more musicals. Yeah. And also there are more plays coming from England now, intact. and less plays created.
They're not homegrown
in America on the
that's
American
very
stage,
funny.
you know. So you got all that. So I think we got all those challenges, and I think we can do all of that and still make all the money, but still explore what does it take to get a more diverse audience. What does it really take to get a more plays by other Americans?
Diverse audience
you know?
can't pay for the seats.
Yeah, but
That's the
but
thing
you know,
but okay.
Go ahead.
But
Hurry up.
I think we have to, with the way America is moving, it's not about, I know folks are going to say it is about the money, but not entirely. Because every night you can only get 1,400 people in those seats anyway. And most producers make an effort to get, student rush tickets or some kind of group tickets early on. I know parents who would pay $200 for kids' sneakers.
Exactly.
Yes.
And they're going to outgrow
Money's
those
there.
shoes. So it's really
And
about
that's
about the value and what you think is
That's right.
important. So as artists, we have to go a long way to say, why should I come to the theater?
Yeah, yes.
Why should I leave my dormitory and go out and come to this versus I can go to a basketball game? Why should I go to this play this night instead of doing anything else?
Well, I mean, look, we've got a show coming, Hamilton, which is
Great show.
blending of all sorts of ethnicities, and if that doesn't attract a multicultural audience, I don't know what is going to on Broadway.
But Michael, it's also who we invite. You can do that show and it's representative of the entire population. But if you don't make an effort to invite everybody and to go to where everybody receives information.
Go out to them.
The black community receives information in a different way than the Latino community, than the Native American, than the gay community. So make more of a concerted effort, not just to get the easy money or the quick money or the money that's been
premium price seats,
or the money that's been going here for 300 years, but the people who haven't,
how can they do
the people
that?
haven't been invited.
Well,
you got to make up. You got to change your marketing strategy. You have to go out there. If that means like there's a group, I mean, people may not want to do this, but there are groups in Alabama, from black churches who want to come here every year, and but sometimes they find out about it. The show is over or done or the seats are gone.
Your Raisin in the Sun, it was a sold-out show. It was a terrific performance. And because of the new way of thinking of theater in terms of creativity and interracial, the Trip to Bountiful, what an amazing production.
Well, we can go further. All I'm saying.
Well, you're going to go.
I'll
It's
give you
going to
one
go
example.
further. I think
Just in terms of
you have to have
just
theater.
having
You gotta have it like
because there's
water
some
and
amazing
air. So it's going to go.
amazing producers on it, but we can get more creative in what we do. Hamilton is a good example of that's being creative. That's what Lin-Manuel. That's great. But there are people like Lynn Nottage, incredible writer.
Yeah.
Not one play on Broadway yet.
Not yet.
Ruined.
Yeah.
There's amazing writers in this country who we're not really
You know who we don't have
supporting
enough
and
of?
getting up.
You know what's going to be good for Broadway is your live production in December of The Wiz.
Yes.
Because you're going to have a great cast. It's going to be seen by millions of people, and it'll probably turn a whole generation of not only African-American kids, but all sorts of kids onto doing musicals.
I think about those people, in 1974, who created that.
Yeah.
Who
Jeffrey
who
Holder.
gave life to that. So I honor those artists. And what I want to do is I want to take that a step farther, and I want to introduce it to a new generation of theater goers. And then after we're on television, I want to take that audience and say, because they can only see it one time on NBC, and then say, okay, but I want to go into the theater. I want to go to the theater.
Right.
So
You're going to bring the Wiz to Broadway.
Yeah, so if we connect the marketing and the communication from television to the stage, then maybe we can take another step to help, do what I'm talking about in Broadway. I want to do my part.
Right. All right, we got to wrap it up, but I can't let you go, Melba, without asking you a question about one of my favorite performers of all time, because you worked with her in Timbuktu, Eartha Kitt. Can you give us? I just want to hear a little bit about Eartha, working with Eartha.
Well.
She always struck me as being a pretty tough lady.
tough is not the word.
What would the word?
Rough.
Was she intimidating? Was she scary?
Absolutely. I stayed in my little corner of the sky. But she was amazing to me to watch because just a consummate artist and so strong and just, you know, come from that era of like, what we call them cougars, different, huh? That's for a younger man. No, she was a tiger. But amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a wonderful picture of her during Timbuktu. They did it for publicity stunt. She rode a camel through Times Square.
See, I love talking about Eartha Kitt, James Earl Jones, Sidney Poitier.
Yeah.
I remember we did, Denzel and I went to Sidney's house, and just to talk to him about us taking on that play. We got the greatest inspiration from Sidney.
I'm sure you did.
He's like, Denzel is the only guy that can do what I did. You know? But he's such a beautiful man, 89 years old now, and
He's
a great friend now.
Because I understand he kind of...
They make it possible for us to do. That's why that history that you put out is so important.
All right, the book is Black Broadway, African Americans on the Great White Way by Stewart Lane. Thank you for being our guest on Theater Talk, Stewart. Melba Moore, it was a great pleasure having you on. You're a tiger, I suppose, in your own right. Just like
Yeah, not
you
a
survived.
tiger,
If you
a
survived
tiger.
Eartha, you can survive anything. And the terrific director, Kenny Leon. Thank you very much for being our
Great to
guest
see you
tonight
all
on
again.
Theater Talk.
Bye-bye. Our thanks to the Friends of Theater Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theater Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the CORY and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy STRELSIN Foundation, plus public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theater Talk. Thank you and good night.